What's up, Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. By the way, you are going to witness history in the making today because we have our first ever guest. We are going to take a deeper dive into Mike McDaniel being the Miami Dolphins head coach and what we can expect from Mike McDaniel. And to do that, we are joined by John Chapman, who is the creator and the host of the 49ers Rush podcast. Quick story, though, before John says anything. John is one of the absolute best football minds that I know. Dude, you are going to learn some shit by listening to John. However, this dude sucks at geography. Every single time I've worked with John on trying to coordinate a podcast, a live stream, whatever we've been doing, I'm in the central time zone. John, whatever the hell you live in California, whatever time zone is, you always try to communicate me in Eastern time zone. What gives?
One, I'm glad to be here. And it's just
welcome, right?
I'm really good at geography. I'm bad at time zones. I'm really bad at time zones. And so I try to be like kind because I assume, being a Dolphins fan, you're on the East Coast. So I go above and beyond and go beyond, literally beyond your time zone,
Right.
and give you the time. But yeah, this is a recurring theme through several years. And so I don't even want to apologize for it because I feel like it's brought us some smiles and at my expense, which that's cool. I'm totally cool with this, but really glad to be here, man. And really pumped about what you're doing. And, I'm a big fan of yours. So wherever you go, I'm going to support that any way I can. And very glad to be here. Sorry, I'm the first guest. You should have aimed higher, my friend.
No, I mean, I told you before this thing started, man, I am beyond flattered, honored that you would be our first guest. I just had to give you a little bit of ribbing there, and you have been unbelievable because I have had some kid issues leading up to this episode, and John has just sat there by himself, patiently waiting to record. So, like I said, fans, you are going to become a smarter football fan simply by listening to John. You are going to fall in love with him immediately. I did in the past. You're going to be next. So, John, I also plan on bringing you back to discuss some NFL draft prospects. Hopefully, my kids cooperate more moving forward when we try to do this, but hopefully, you'll come back. But before we even get started today, why don't you go ahead and even tell the listeners where they can find your information? Because, yes, John does cover the 49ers for the 49ers Rush podcast. However, he does great work with NFL draft prospects, the whole NFL draft process. Like I said, I want to have him back on. You're going to become a smarter fan. Go ahead, tell the listeners where they can find your work.
Yeah, the best place, if you're interested, if you have a 49ers fan that you can share the podcast, 49ers Rush podcast. We're everywhere. We record live several times a week. But if you're just a Dolphins guy and you want to learn more about film, Twitter is going to be the place where you should probably interact with me at JL_Chapman, JL_CHAPMAN, because I do a whole bunch of film breakdowns going through the college all 22 tape for every single position. Last year we did, I think, 160 player profiles, video profiles, where we just watched the game film. I'm a former coach myself, so breaking down the different, what it is that they bring, tendencies, how they're going to win in the NFL, what scheme fits they are and are not, and all that stuff. So a lot of player profiles. So again, at JL_Chapman, that's probably where I would send you.
It's great stuff. Thank you for putting that all out to the audience. I urge you follow that immediately. John, before we get started with a couple of questions and some of your insight into Mike McDaniel, I've been kind of teetering on what I want to call this video. And one of the things that came to me today while driving, I wrote this down. It was called Getting to Know Mike McDaniel from the Inside. A little aggressive, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know him that well?
I felt that one. No, I don't. But if you look at, let's start at the beginning. If you look at some of his early pictures, whenever he was kind of like in teenager, whatever, like he looks straight out of a Limp Bizkit concert, if there ever was one. Like just picture 1990s, like Pac Sun or like Hot Topic, that's Mike McDaniel, man. So yeah, there
So
you go.
fantastic.
That's kind of where he came from. But he's a fun story, and
Mhm.
it's almost like one of those made for TV stories from his youth to where he is now, and he's fun. The one thing that I will say that I'm most excited for you guys, Dolphins fans, you're going to get so much entertainment.
Yep.
It's just he is hilarious. He really takes joy in creating a very fun, laid back, kind of almost like a roast sometimes of himself and media members and press conferences. So the sound clips, good gosh, you're getting into the perfect time, Ben, because you're going to have a lot of content because of this guy.
Oh, absolutely. When I first reached out to you about this, I told you, to me, Mike McDaniel was a breath of fresh air. With Brian Flores, it was cookie cutter, by the book, coach speak, left, right. I didn't even listen to a lot of his press conferences because after listening to a couple of them, it was so dry. It was so by the book. It was, we're going to keep everything hush hush. It was the Bill Belichick model.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel, like I said, breath of fresh air. It's the exact opposite. In what I was going to ask you, one of the questions is like, how much of a breath of fresh air is he? Like, he's so. It's the youthfulness, it's the modernness, it's the dry sense of humor where like he's going to do it in his like little monotone voice where he's not going to change his inflection, and then if you don't catch on his joke, he'll laugh at you.
Yeah. Oh, he calls people out. And,
It's
you know, the
crazy.
49ers went through this exact same transition 6 years ago because we had Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly
Yep.
is not part of Belichick, but he's just a grade A-hole. He's awful. He wanted to cut the press conferences in half,
Yep.
refused to allow beat writers to practice whatsoever, and he never shared anything. There was just no
Right.
content. Then you go Kyle Shanahan, who doesn't lie to the media. Like
Right.
it might be a problem, but like he just overshares. He gets up there and he'll tell you, like, oh yeah,
Yep.
like this person's not like he was never a fit for us. We never even considered that person. And you'd be
Right.
like, oh, okay, interesting. Like he's
Yeah.
overshare. And Mike McDaniel, he might even be past Kyle Shanahan on the entertainment, trust, honest overshare category, which I mean, in today's entertainment world,
Right.
he's
Spot
already
on.
set it off. Like, look at the plane video with Tua. I mean, good gosh.
Oh, I tell every Dolphins fan, tingly. We get tingles. I get tingly when I read that shit, when I listen to that. It's so great. John, how much stock do you put into like the whole idea? Like, yeah, he was kind of like this offensive coordinator, run game coordinator, but he wasn't calling the plays. How much stock do you put into that? As like now he's going to be the head coach. Now he's going to be the one calling the plays. How much stock do you put into that? Like, do you think he struggles, or where do you fall on that?
You know, I've just from personal experience, you know, I started my coaching on the defensive side. And what would happen is whenever I first called defensive plays, it was a little bit of an adjustment. Not going to lie. Eventually, whenever I became a head coach and called offensive plays on the flip side, that was an even bigger adjustment. Now, the
Mhm.
difference is he's been doing this forever. It's not like it's a new
Right.
thing for him.
Right.
So I think he's going to have an adjustment, but it's not going to be huge. It's
Right.
not going to be huge.
Right.
Real quick, I'm getting some feedback in I don't know what's too loud. It's echoing pretty bad.
Probably my child.
Oh, because I don't know if, yeah, it's like a 2-second echo on there. I'm sorry, man. What do I need to do? Am I messing something up?
No, let's just we'll power through it. We'll see how it goes, and it probably will fix itself here in a second. We'll see.
Cool.
While you're experiencing that, hopefully you can. Hopefully we can get through that, and this kid can get over her deals. I keep telling her like every issue she has, I'm like, dude, here I am. I have Austin Jackson as a starting lineman on my team. My issues with this guy are bigger than any issues that my kid has right now. So I keep trying to tell her to put things in perspective, and she just doesn't follow what I'm saying. It's fucking unbelievable.
Austin Jackson.
What I was going to ask you next, John, just like, so McDaniel, he's kind of got this whole like run first philosophy. Like, how does that philosophy help an offense? How does that set things up for what the team can eventually do from an entire game plan standpoint?
One of my favorite things about coaches, and this is at any level, what is your goal? Okay, so like whatever successful play. There's dart throwers, then there's chess players. So for example, let's step away from McDaniel. If you look at the Cowboys offensive coordinator, right, Kellen Moore, who I think he designed some great plays. I think he's a good play caller, all those things. It's just a bunch of really good dart throws. That's what he brings. Nothing builds on itself. There's not a lot of counters and plays that he's developing with his scheme. It's just a bunch of good plays. Whereas McDaniel, and this is kind of what Kyle Shanahan has applauded him for, is he is an architect. So you take one simple concept, whether that's an outside zone, which very, very simply stated, everybody blocks to the right, and the running back gets to pick whichever gap he wants to hit that's not occupied, right? Well, you take that one simple concept, and then you start to add, okay, so once they start overplaying to the outside, you make it look the exact same, except you cut back to the A gap. Then the next thing you do is you roll out to the backside. So the goal with Mike McDaniel is it's not so much that he calls great plays, it's that everything is built upon itself. So as a defense, you have to decide where's our weakness, and then it's going to be exploited that way.
Right. No, and it kind of lends itself well to the next question I wanted to ask you. It's a huge conversation right now amongst Dolphins fans. Who's going to be the team's Deebo Samuel? And people throw out all these names. It's Jalen Waddle, obviously, or it's Lynn Bowden. And maybe the team drafts someone or they sign a free agent that can be in this role. I'm more of the belief Deebo Samuels don't just grow on trees. This is not a type of player that just comes around every so often that you can find on every single team. So rather than telling me who's going to be the Miami Dolphins' Deebo Samuel, tell me, how might we see some of the current pieces utilized a little differently than what they have been in the past that maybe can fill some sort of role like what Deebo Samuel had done?
Yeah, it's a rough one. I look at your roster, and there's a couple people that jump out to me. Lynn Bowden Jr., first off, like obviously he is not that at all, but a multi-purpose tool that could be used. He's got a bigger body. I really enjoyed watching him in college. He just hasn't found his way. One thing I will say, do not expect Jalen Waddle to get those 100+ receptions. That's not happening.
I agree.
Now his
I agree.
yards after the catch and all those things, that's going to shoot through the roof. Gesicki, probably the biggest beneficiary of your entire team. Even though he's an undrafted free agent, 1,000% expect him to be signed. He's going to fit in that George Kittle role. Yeah, again, he's as athletic, if not more so, than George Kittle. Not on the blocking side, perhaps, even though he's an above-average blocker. He's not. There's nobody that blocks like George Kittle at the tight end position. No. So I think that's important. And then whoever your running back is. I do believe, and again, if I could put my crystal ball out here, Raheem Mostert is going to sign with the Miami Dolphins. I'd put it at almost like 90% because you have the money. He's never been paid.
Yep.
He loves the system, and he's designed for this. And you guys could use running back depth. He's going to sign with you guys. Like I wish that was a Vegas prop because I would bet so much money on that.
No, absolutely. And that's actually, like I said, you keep lending myself into my next question. I wanted to talk about some of your free agents because, well, actually, before I even get to that, let me go back first to the Gesicki thing because he is a free agent. You have the idea of the franchise tag, the transition tag. Do you re-sign him? Do you let him walk? This is a huge conversation right now in the Dolphins community. It's, can he block well enough to be on the field enough to where he's not tipping the hat of like, well, if he's on the field, they're going to pass the ball. Mike McDaniel has been over the top like, hey, we've got pieces. We are going to be able to adapt an offense around those pieces. And he's shown that even pre-Kittle, that no matter who the tight end is, even if they're not that great of a blocking tight end, he can still work with them. So I'm not ruling out the
He worked with Jordan Reed in Washington whenever he was a beast, and he never blocked.
No, not
and
at all.
He brought him over to 49ers again for another year. So like
he clearly liked him.
Yeah. Now that's not going to be an issue.
No, that's a big topic right now. I just posted a video a day or two ago, and I just said that honestly, I want the Dolphins to franchise tag Mike Gesicki because it gives you the flexibility. You can see how he does in 1 year. Yeah, you pay out of your ass for him, but you got the money. You can see how he does in 1 year. If he's not a fit, you can still trade him. or you're only on that 1 year deal. You can move on from there afterwards. So I like that you had brought that up, because that's a great topic, because that's another thing too. Yeah, George Kittle fit well because he is a pass catching tight end, but and he's a run blocking tight end. But who the hell else has a George Kittle? There's like
There's
two of
not
those
many
in
of
the
them.
league, tops.
Yeah, that's it.
You know
And
what I mean?
if I was Gesicki and I was his agent, here's what I would say. Try to get the franchise tag. Bet on yourself. Because right now, your long-term deal isn't going to be much. Look what Kittle just got paid. What if it's the same system? What if you can do that? You can cash in. So if I was
Right.
Gesicki or his agent, I'd be pleading for the franchise tag, approve it, and then cash out afterwards. That's a lot of money that they have to put up, though. But
Sure.
you have the money. You
Yep.
lead the NFL in salary cap space. So why not try for a young? Let's see what Gesicki could become, because this is the most tight end friendly offense that
Right.
he's bringing over there.
No,
With,
absolutely.
by the way, it's not only Mike McDaniel. You got John Embry. John Embry, your tight end coach, who has coached Tony Gonzalez, right? He's coached George Kittle. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, that's a home run hire.
I put a tweet out a few days back. Like, I have never been this amped about a coaching staff. Like, that's not a thing fans should get excited about. However, like, it was like the Brian Flores days. It was like, oh, we hired Chan Gailey as the offensive coordinator.
Oh,
Like, what? That's the most temporary solution of all
yeah.
time. And then after Chan Gailey got let go, it's like, okay, finally, here we go. You hired two guys in house to do one job, and they weren't even the guys from the start calling the plays. It was just a complete, like, Dolphins fans, we should have seen it from the get go. We shouldn't have been surprised by it, but we were, and we're in the situation now where Flores is out the window, the dual offensive coordinators is out the window, but we're here when we're with Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel, and you had already led on to the idea of Raheem Mostert, and I wanted to talk to you about some of those 49ers free agents. It's Raheem Mostert. I believe Jeff Wilson is a free agent, and
He is.
probably most importantly, most Dolphins fans want to know Laken Tomlinson. Can we have him?
I did a podcast where I ranked every single, free agent that the 49ers have. Laken Tomlinson was number one.
Yeah,
He missed a start. He gave up one sack all year, and that was in the playoffs, and he got tripped, giving up that sack. So
yeah.
like Laken is unreal. Dude played in all 20 games for the 49ers. And again, we play in the playoffs, the 49ers, so we play more games than most teams. I don't know if you guys know that as
I
Dolphins
I,
fans,
I
but
said this a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago. Dude, John, I am 34 years old. I have seen five. Where's my hand? I have seen
yeah.
5 playoff games.
I'm sorry, but I'll say this: like, I'm pulling for you guys. I'm gonna talk my trash just because I have to.
You
This is my
can.
only outlet. But I love Laken Tomlinson. If we lose him, I'm gonna be very upset. And if he does go to y'all, he's going to get paid. You're talking
Yeah.
10 million plus a year. He's so consistent. Pro Bowl this year. I really want him to come back so bad because the 49ers offensive line is not great. We need that guy. We need that
Yeah.
guy big time.
Oh, we need him worse, man.
You got Austin Jackson playing
Well,
guard, man. Come on.
well, that's what I said though. Like, it was, I did an offensive line off-season preview video just a day or so back, and it's like, yeah, you see all these free agent offensive linemen, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to sign X, Y, and Z, but you don't realize, as like the casual fan, like 50 to 75% of the league doesn't like their offensive line. They all want these guys. They're all coveted. All of their own teams want to re-sign their guys. You're not the only one that's in this situation. Whereas like a receiver, it's like, oh yeah, you can kind of pick and choose because there's so many
So
great
many,
free
yeah.
agents. It seems like every free agency.
And when you
Offensive
look at the
line is
draft, it
built
tells the
different.
story of supply and demand.
Big
Every
time.
single year, so many edge players, so
Yep.
many wide receivers.
Yep.
It's very difficult to find quality offensive line early. Again, Austin Jackson was a first round pick, right? Like it
Forced.
if you're a stud, you go to the defensive side.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. Unless you're just a freak of nature
Right.
that's 6'6" and you can put on weight, but those guys are rare. It's hard to find.
Yeah, John, I have a question here that I don't know that might be the one that I probably should have prepped you on of any of the questions. And so take a second if you need to, and I can fill the buster for you if you want me to. But if there's one thing as Dolphins fans that we should be leery of with Mike McDaniel, do you have anything in mind that the Dolphins fan should be leery of because of this hiring of him as a head coach, as him as the offensive coordinator? What should we potentially be scared of?
One of my least favorite things of Kyle Shanahan, and again, I don't know how much of this is John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, because they all came together and they've all been together. But the loyalty, okay, and which is beautiful. But I always joke around on my podcast. I call it the Shanahan loyalty program because he
So
packs. They're
great.
like carnies, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. But if you've ever worked with them before, you're coming with them. Tom Compton, Jordan
So
Reed,
true.
like everybody. Alfred Morris was the week 1 starter for the 49ers
Right.
after he was out of the NFL. Like, he brings everybody with him, even if they're not good, because it's just, I want my guys. That's
Yep.
Shanahan's mindset, and that's just
Yep.
who he's always been. So I'm curious to see if McDaniel's going to do that, because whenever they draft somebody and they don't work out, they stick with them to a fault. Now, the good news about that is, again, there's two sides to the coin, right? The good news about that is players will take less to be with you because they know, oh, guess
Right.
what? He'll hire me as a coach
My
whenever
guy.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm in with them, I'm in. And so it's a two-sided thing, but it's nauseating whenever there's somebody that just continues to underperform, and it's a Shanahan guy that's a positive locker room guy. He will stick with them, faults and all. And that's infuriating as a fan.
Yeah, and you've already talked about Embry, and obviously he brought over Wes Welker as a wide receiver coach, and I don't necessarily know if that falls into that category. I've heard great things about both of those guys. I mean, it's yet to be determined. We'll see how that all plays out, but it's kind of funny how you mentioned that, but at the same time, like McDaniel's already brought in Welker, like we talked about. He's brought in Sam Madison, Pat Surtain, like he's
Yeah.
bringing all these guys, like Dolphins fans of my age, like you're getting this nostalgia of like, oh my God, you are bringing all these guys back. Well, it's not like Madison and Surtain are going to be playing on the boundary corner, but I do love the idea that like these guys are like coaching like probably the best cornerback duo the Dolphins have had since them. Like there can't be anything
Yeah.
wrong with that, but
No.
I appreciate that insight. That's a great analysis, to be honest
And
with
I'll say this, and this is, one of the things that makes the 49ers different is how player friendly they are, and the coaching staff is that. Like, they hang out on the weekends. Wes Welker,
Yeah.
again, the wide receiver core for the 49ers in the playoffs, they made custom Wes Welker jerseys, which were hilarious, and wore them for the pregame warm-up, knowing they were going to get fined by the NFL, and did so because they thought it was hilarious making
so
fun of
great.
Wes Welker. Like, it's a tight-knit John
Right.
Embry. If you've ever listened to George Kittle, post-game press conference, he drops John Embry's name once per game. Like,
Fantastic.
so you're going opposite. And I know Wes played in New England, but it's not the Belichick system. That's not, it's just a 180. And so going from, again, I've been a part of coaching staffs where you have like hard ass coaches and it's just like, work.
Yep.
And then you change it over to a different scheme where it's like, hey man, let's have fun. Let's enjoy this. Like, this is a cool job. We're playing football. It changes the player's mind. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, but going from walking on eggshells and no fun to walking out of the freaking locker room with the boom box, having a good time and just be
Right.
you, it brings the best out of some people, but it's not for everybody. But it's going to feel different. I'm telling
for
you,
sure.
just watching the games, you're going to see a difference.
Well, even at like the Pro Bowl, they had that clip of, I think it was when Kyle Juszczyk caught that touchdown, and him and Kittle were FaceTiming with Mike McDaniel right after, like, hey, I caught a touchdown, and Kittle jumped in, I blocked. Like, it was like, that's the guy they called. Like, that's the person that they brought on. And they're like, oh, we got to go. It's our time to get back out there. Like, they felt that comfortable and that much of a connection to this guy that they did that during the game. I don't think that was just for a show either. That's pretty cool.
No, Kyle Juszczyk has been very outspoken throughout the years that Mike McDaniels is his guy. And if the 49ers didn't sign him to an extension last year, I truly do believe he would leave the 49ers to join Mike McDaniel. That's the impact that he's had on Juszczyk. Again, Ivy League scholars, McDaniel graduated from Yale, played at Yale. And the very first transaction he does is he goes and gets an Ivy League fullback.
Unbelievable, right? Isn't that
I thought that was awesome.
unbelievable?
He's consistent. He's
I thought it
consistent.
was fake Adam Schefter when I first read it. Like I was like,
Yeah.
no way. There's no way. There's no way we're falling into this. But yep, there it was. John, I've got two very quick final questions for you before I let you go. I've taken already too much of your time, especially pre-recording. But I need to know: do the Chapmans still celebrate Tequila Tuesday?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So my wife, peeking at this. My wife, like, we're the whitest people in the world. I can say that because my wife started a dog Instagram account for our French bulldog puppy. Right? Yeah, yeah. This is a real thing. Um,
Oh,
and so she went and bought because I guess it was like Margarita
it
Tuesday or
was. That's
whatever.
right. It was like National Margarita Day or
Oh,
something.
she
Yeah.
dressed the damn dog up like a margarita, which was
Oh
adorable, and made
no.
margaritas. So yesterday, yes, I'm a big tequila guy. That is factually correct, my friend.
Unbelievable. Wow. I feel like we
Yeah,
should just
sorry
end
about
there
that.
because we can just end on a high. But I do need to bring up one more question.
No problem, man.
Your Twitter bio says that you once took shots with Frank Gore. I need to ask, was this during Prohibition? Because we all know Frank Gore was of legal age back then. I just didn't know you were that old.
It was in Miami, of all
What?
places. So yeah, we kind of what we do is we travel with the team to usually about 5 to 7 games a year, and we throw
Nice.
parties. And so for the Super Bowl, when we played the Chiefs down in Miami, we were able to get Frank Gore to come out and hang out with us and do some autographs and whatnot.
So
And when
cool.
that was over, because I was throwing the party, got to do some shots with Frank Gore, which was really, really cool. It was a good time. And the worst part about it was I hand the phone to my buddy. I was like, hey, dude, will you please film this for me? And he hit picture instead of film. And so I never got the video clip. But yeah, Frank Gore is awesome. He's great to hang out with. He's exactly as you would picture him.
A
And he's
dinosaur.
such a fan. He's still a fan. And he's just a little kid that just like he took the mic from me and started just
So
like
great.
going off on Niners stuff. And I mean, that's just who he is. So really, really good time. That was awesome. That was a good time.
No, I love it, and I always have a great time when you jump on. Like I said, I can't be more grateful. I feel stupid bad, and the audience doesn't even know what I'm talking about right now. But I had John on for probably like freaking 20 minutes. He had to sit there and freaking wait as to my blank screen. It was like this the entire time as
But
I tried to get this
here's the
kid
cool
to
thing,
go
man. Like
the
we're
night.
two dudes talking football. I ain't even complaining. This is awesome, man. And shout out to you, man, and just the commitment. Because again, I kept saying like, hey, man, we could just do it another time. This man pushed through. Respect. Just like Frank Gore and just like Raheem Mostert's going to do for you guys when you sign him in about 6 weeks from now.
No, dude, I appreciate it so much. And like I said, if we're lucky enough to have you come back on, which I hope you do, I would love to pick your brain on some more NFL draft prospects as we get closer to the draft as well. Because, dude, we always have a blast together. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's always a privilege, man, and love what you're doing. I can't wait to see what this channel does because yeah, you do a hell of a job, man. So appreciate you and look forward to hanging out in person, man. When we're gonna have a beer together in person, man. Step up your game, Ben.
What
Let's
what
go.
what day is it today? It's February 23rd when we're recording this. I can be there by the 24th.
Let's roll, man. Let's roll. Let's roll.
Let's do this one more time, John, before we sign off. Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners where they can find your stuff? Because like I said, you're a 49ers guy, but you provide so much to the game in general, and especially if you like the NFL draft, which Dolphins fans love because we are usually in draft mode by like October.
Yeah, Twitter's the best place at JL_Chapman. And if you want like access to all of the player video breakdowns, I have a Patreon channel. Like I've loaded 9 player breakdowns. Like I'm going through all the corners right now. All 22 coaching tape that we get from the scouts. And so if you want to check that out, patreon.com, 49ers Rush podcast. It's not Niners content for the next, like till the draft. It's
Right.
just draft prospects videos broken down. And once you join, you get access to all those things. And if you do join and don't like it, 100% money back guaranteed. But yeah, I think we don't have too many people cancel. So we're up to like 350 subscribers over there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think.
No, that's great. Once again, thank you, John, for coming on. I tell all the listeners, do exactly what John just said. Like I said, you've became a smarter football fan listening to him today, and you will only become you will just be a wealth of knowledge listening to him moving forward. So thanks, John, once again. Thank you, all the listeners, for tuning in. We're going to end this video, but we'll obviously be back, hopefully with John talking about some NFL draft prospects. So with that, peace out. Have a good time. Follow John, and we'll have a good night. See you later.
Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.